Welcome to the Real Estate Agent Playbook. Today we have Katie Meadows from Las Vegas, Nevada. As you know, we are on podcast and YouTube now. Please do all the things on those channels that help us bring attention to helping agents win every single day at the game of real estate. Today, our guest, Katie Meadows from Las Vegas, Nevada, absolutely dominates the market. She went from being a solo agent, getting her feet wet in the business about 4.5 years ago. Then she developed into a pseudo team lead and was doing a lot of training and so on. Some life changes brought her back into the solo agent world, and all she does is continue to produce and close deals for her clients. So super excited for her to share her story. So without further ado, let's bring her on. Welcome to the show, Katie. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Real Estate Agent Playbook. Today, I have my good friend, Katie Meadows from Las Vegas. She is a realtor there. She's been in the business for 4.5 years. And I met Katie originally through Instagram. She does an amazing job marketing her business on Instagram. And we'll get into a little bit about where you can follow her later. But Katie's super intriguing. She got in the business 4.5 years ago. She absolutely crushes production when I, met her recently. But then you get to talking to her, and she's had quite the journey from, new agent to top producer, team lead at some. Now she's got a little coaching gig she does. So super excited to have Katie Meadows from Las Vegas on the podcast and YouTube. So Katie, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Good. So anything else that you want to tell us about yourself, your past, that I might have missed in that little short intro?
As far as, I've been in real estate for 4.5 years. I think you hit all the major points. I got into real estate, quit my full-time job that I was in for 16 years, after 6 months. And then all kinds of craziness started happening after then. So.
Right. Absolutely. And I believe you were in the service industry, right? And that's one of the hardest industries to get out of, I think. My dad actually owned bars and restaurants prior to being a real estate broker. So I know how tough that is.
Exactly. You make it's super easy money. You make a lot of money. You have cash on you every day. You have a pension here in Vegas because you have the union. Yep. You have the best health insurance. So people thought I was crazy when I quit, but yep. I was there for 16 years. So super long time. All right.
That's awesome. And obviously you've made that transition to ultimate success, and super excited to dive in. So obviously, just in the 4.5 years you've been in the business, what is one thing you would do differently with your business if you had the experience you have today when you got into it? And kind of take us through that journey of what it was like leaving, the easy, quote unquote, easy money and having the cash and getting into something like real estate.
Yeah. So I thought about that question a lot, and it's crazy, because how my life really unfolded. And I don't know if there's necessarily anything that I would have done differently, because I got into real estate. I went with a mentor, which I would advise everybody to do. The lady that actually sold me my house before I got into real estate, I went under her for a little while. And then I ended up meeting, which is now my ex-fiance, and going over and starting a team immediately. But he was super knowledgeable about real estate already. So I had another mentor that I was working with every day. So it's kind of hard for me to really state what I would do differently, because I went full on right into it. But for those people that are getting in, I always recommend getting a mentor first, or being on a team, having somebody else that can teach you all the steps, because you just don't know. I never was an entrepreneur before I went into real estate, so I didn't know all the things. I straight in went with mentors. They taught me, what is a CRM, how to do the scripts, how to call people. So I just really recommend following the mentorship of somebody else, or going on to a team when you get in. But there's not really anything necessarily that I would do differently. I started a team right away with my ex. We were a top 1% producers with our team for 3 years. So there's really not necessarily anything that I would do differently. I just really recommend you getting somebody to guide you along the way, and just not going in there and thinking the broker of the agency is going to help you, because that's just not, I mean, if you have a question, sure, they're going to answer it, but you really need someone full on to really get the understanding of real estate.
So important. And it's, I mean, you hit on it pretty well there, where you had kind of the diversity of the two mentors that kind of guided you through. And the truth is, in this industry, you can build your business any which way you want, as long as you have the work ethic and that kind of piece. And so having that mentorship, it's interesting because I got into the industry. My dad was my first mentor, and he had so much to give on the contracts and the legal and that piece of it. But he was a managing broker. So he had 2 years where he was an agent, but that was a long time ago when it was his main focus just to do deals and the marketing side. And so
Absolutely.
Oftentimes we think that the marketing and that the real estate agent, hey, I mean, you've heard it. How many agents come into your office and say, hey, yeah, I just love helping people and I love selling homes, right? And the truth is, I have actually one of my future episodes coming out is that, selling homes is literally like 15% of my job.
Yep,
Like
exactly.
the rest is marketing and branding and staying in touch and customer service and all the things. So having that mentor that does it and that you align with, because I think choosing a mentor is sometimes something that comes into play that's a little bit harder. And you obviously went with two people that you trusted, first and foremost the agent that helped you buy a home, which is really interesting because a lot of people talk about real estate and they get into real estate because their agent sucked. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's awesome that you did that. So if you could pinpoint one thing that's kind of catapulted your success, or what's your secret sauce or superpower as an agent that you kind of utilize?
Yeah, I always say my superpower is connection. I'm super close to all of my clients. I stay on top of all of my transactions. Even before we go into real estate, like I do coffee with my clients. Once we go in, I explain everything, make sure they know the process. And then afterwards, like I'm part of like their family. I go to lunch with them. I'll go to their houses. So I just say my superpower is always connection and communication, because I think that those two are so important in real estate. And a lot of people are just looking at going in and making money. And that's not really what I love. I love people. So I love making that connection and just building a bond with them. And yeah, so I always say communication and connection.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're speaking my language there. I'm a big sphere development guy, as you know.
Exactly.
But it's funny because you mentioned like it's not all about the money. But when you think about and compare and contrast that strategy versus, the other strategies, and I know that when you were on a team, you had some paid lead, generation and stuff like that. But, the fact is your profit margin is so much higher when it's just natural connection, right? When you're not paying, $5 a lead or $10 a lead, maybe you're paying $5 a cup of coffee, but
yeah, exactly.
you're also utilizing that. So you kind of really think about it. And if it is all about the money and super transactional, then you're paying more, right? And so if you're paying 50% of, your income towards generating more leads, then that's a whole different story, a whole different ballgame. So super awesome, the connection there. What's one thing that you kind of, do when you're nurturing those clients? Maybe they're not clients yet, but obviously you're hanging out with your friends, anything like that. I would imagine you're not real estate commission breath all over and when you're going to buy or sell. So is there anything you do with a little more intention when you're hanging out with people and out in public that has led you to success and maybe some more transactions?
I would say definitely like I'm not a hard sales agent. Like I don't go in there and start talking about my job. I'll drop hints of what I do or whatever, but it's just really, people asking you what you do, just regular conversations and just really going from there. But there's nothing really like, like I said, I'm not a hard salesperson. So it's just staying connected with them. And I do a lot of videos and stuff or a lot of stories on Instagram and stuff like that to stay on top of mind of my friends and stuff like that.
Yeah, you do an excellent job on Instagram, and obviously that's how we connected originally. And it's across the board, right? Like you're always responding to personal posts, or like when I'm posting about, 75 hard or whatever, and you're on it, like Katie Meadows, boom, liked it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's apparent how you built your business through that. And I was on a call actually this week with some of our agents in our group, Sean and Scott Bautista, who are, big time luxury agents out of Seattle. And it was really interesting because you see them, the suits, the Porsches, all the things, and you think that, you automatically think that it is what it is, that's just their brand. But when they brought up their KPIs on how they've built their Instagram following, literally every single day it says comment on 50 people's posts, respond to 50 people's stories. And so they're very interactive with people, and they don't necessarily need to be. I mean, they're $100 million producers within their team, and that's still how they really, do it. And it's all about what they're giving, not just what they look like. They're not just putting out their content and expecting people to reach out to them. They're interacting, and they're going to build those relationships. So that's super powerful, and right on the money, and pretty much as expected with kind of your production and how successful you've been.
Absolutely. People want you to engage back. And I think that's super important. It's not just showing what, you got going on, but engaging back into their lives too is always super important.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter what business you're in. That's huge, right? If you can kind of get in their mind, and, every time you like something or comment or engage, he says it's like crack, when you open it up and you see all the hearts and everybody, your emotions are automatically increased there. Perfect. So we talked a little bit about that, kind of nurturing and getting them to there. What is your strategy from, lead to close? How's the contract look with you? How's the client journey? Do you do anything special there? Being in Vegas, is there anything that you do that's a little out of the ordinary from the typical agent?
I do this like the same things like other agents do. Like when you say lead to close, are you talking about like how do I get the lead, or just once I get the lead?
Once someone mentions like real estate to you, like how do you kind of nurture that relationship? And then, what's it like working with Katie, through the contract process?
Yeah, like I have a whole plan where I make sure that they know like what the whole process is. I have it, like I send it to them in a packet so they know, because obviously I have a lot of first time home buyers that I work with. And so I just make sure, even people who have bought before always forget what it is like in the buying process. So I send them like a packet to make sure and explain everything so they have a timeline. I'll shoot them reminders. If I get a listing, I do, the photograph, drone photos. I do a lot of marketing with videos, reels, building websites. And so I'm trying to think of like really
outside the box. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about like closing gifts and things like that? Do you?
Oh yeah. I always make baskets, and I think I'm super big on like knowing like people's love languages and stuff. I think that's super important. So like I base my gifts like around that. Like I just had a close, and they were super big gift people, and I just knew like I had to go out of like the box for them or whatever. So I bought them like a dinner. Instead of buying something for their house, they got a new build because they already had like the Nest or Ring doorbell that I would sometimes buy. So I bought them like a night out on the town, dinner, tickets to a show and stuff like that. So each closing gift is a little bit different. I like to personalize them. So depending on the client.
That's super powerful. So you're not going to the Real Estate Mastermind Facebook pages and saying, what should I get my client as a closing gift?
Exactly. I like to personalize based on whoever buys the property. Yeah. So I'm like, I like to personalize mine.
That's super important. And I think that's really powerful as far as, obviously connecting, and it's what it is. Like you could tell that it's not relational, right? Yeah. And then after close, is there anything that you, how do you stay top of mind and touch with the past clients besides just going around and, engaging and being a part of their lives? As far as parties, do you do any events or anything special in that realm?
Yep, I've done a lot of events in the past. Like I'll usually do like a Christmas event, any holiday events. I'll give out like pies for Christmas or Thanksgiving. I've done like movie theater events.
What's your very best one?
I liked the Christmas party that I had. We had it like in a convention kind of room, and just we brought in like a lot of a DJ. We brought in a cool photo booth. Just a lot of clients showed up to that one. That was super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I did do a movie theater one that was pretty fun too. So I just like to be creative and kind of make everything a little bit different. So
yeah, and just I mean those experiences obviously, and you know you don't think like Realtor 100% like you're not doing Parade of Homes tours or anything like that.
Exactly.
So that's awesome, and obviously a reason that you're super creative, and I would imagine that your return, because you're so invested in the personal relationship with them, you know, your repeat client referral numbers are probably pretty good compared to
oh my goodness, all of my clients are like referrals or my SOI right now. So it's just, I've built my whole business off of that. So
Right,
it's
that's
amazing.
awesome. Yeah,
I love my clients.
absolutely. And I know you do. You say that. I mean, you post that a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's super cool. And so, you know, kind of transitioning this a little into the coaching. I know it's kind of, you know, just getting off the ground or getting back into it, I would say, because I know you did a lot of that when you were team lead and that kind of stuff. What's kind of your vision to, you know, what's your passion to help agents as far as that piece? If I'm a new agent and I sit down at your desk, what are you going to, what's your advice to me, and kind of how do you go about your coaching strategy?
Yeah, so I'm still kind of putting that whole thing together. Like you just touched on or whatever, I had a team that I ran like a bunch of newer agents. So I would just say, like, I still have a lot of agents that come to me for advice and like new agents that come to me for advice. So I mean, I would say that just like not to give up, because I think real estate's just, it's hard. It's easy, but it's hard. Like you have to put in the work. So I would tell them just to put in the work and show them strategies on phone calls and stuff like that, and the CRM, and go through the whole process. Because I like to do newer agents because I think that that's fun, because they, you know, you can train them from the bottom when they don't know anything. So you can train them the right way. And so I like to train people who are coachable too, that are open to listening. So yeah, I'm just beginning my coaching program now. So I'm super excited about that.
I think you hit so well on that with, you know, it's not about how you built your business, right? It's not, here's my script, go do this, go door knock 200 places.
Yeah.
It's more about what they can be successful at and what they can do. And, you know, obviously with my group, I definitely am, and it's not as scalable as some other options, right?
Yeah.
But it's that one-on-one connection. And if I can make, you know, 1 out or 2 out of 3 agents that I coach uber successful icon agents, whatever it may be, then that has a different return, you know, both, you know, mentally and, you know, in the team structure as well. So that's super cool. And a lot of people are like, well, you know, you can't teach it unless you've done it. And I mean, I don't necessarily subscribe to that. Like, people like you and I both know like what it's going to take to nurture a relationship across the finish line. It doesn't necessarily matter where you meet that person, right? But it's more about after you have that person within your sphere or your realm of, you know, success, that you kind of expand on that. So I'm super excited to see how that goes, because I know that you're going to absolutely, you know, crush that. And I know you have already, you know, like in different realms. So
yep, definitely.
And we'll put down where people can find you to, if they're interested in getting all the details from that below. But one last question for you.
Okay.
What is the most exciting thing that's happened to you over the last week or month pertaining to real estate?
Pertaining to real estate, I mean, I had 3 closings last week. I have 3 coming up this week too. So I would just say I've been super busy. So that's really, I think, the most exciting thing in building out my coaching program.
Absolutely. Changing lives, right? And
changing lives.
That's it. Like you hear every time she speaks, it's something about, you know, helping others and advancing others through, you know, home ownership and agents. And so I'm so excited to see kind of where that goes, Katie. And I, you know, value your friendship and Love connecting with you on all different levels. So thank you so much for that. And where can people best find you, just to kind of connect? First and foremost, follow her, Instagram, which she'll say shortly, but follow her Instagram because it's absolutely the right approach to social media and real estate. So where can they find you?
I would say Instagram is my biggest platform. KDM Sells Vegas. KDM Sells Vegas on Facebook too. So I'd say those two places.
Okay, perfect. I'll put them in the show notes in the description. But thanks so much, Katie, for taking the time. I know we were both very busy and this was a long time coming.
I know.
But I appreciate you so much. And thanks so much for being a guest on the Real Estate Agent Playbook.
Thanks for having me.
All right, bye-bye. Wow, as you can tell, just quite the journey over the last 4.5 to 5 years for Katie, getting out of the service industry, something that a lot of people really try and do. And she was a cocktail waitress at a Vegas casino for a long time, stepped out of there and absolutely transferred those skills and has been an amazing top producing agent ever since. So blessed to call Katie my friend. If you need anything from her or you're interested in, a little coaching from her, please reach out. She's an amazing person and will absolutely respond to those Instagram DMs. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube. And if you are so inclined on the podcast, leave that 5-star review and let us know what you thought of the episode. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.